Hello and welcome to Maple Flavored Yoga. For those who don't know me, my name is Andy, and I'd just like to take a second to say thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate the support, and this has been a really wonderful and interesting journey for the last year creating this channel. So I really want to just say thank you, and I really appreciate it. For those who are new here, if you would like to click subscribe, I release new videos on Mondays. Also, leave a like or a comment. This is a new type of video for my channel, so let me know in the comments if this is something you would like to see more of. This video today is 5 tips for you to assist in your yoga journey. It can seem a little bit overwhelming when you're first starting out, or maybe you've been practicing for years and you're kind of in a weird space. So here are 5 things that can help you support your yoga practice. So my first suggestion is journaling. Journaling has been a part of my life for a very long time, and it's such a wonderful tool to help process things. It lets you kind of get everything off of your chest. I also find while I'm journaling and I'm reading what I've written, I'm retaking in my thoughts in a different way. So I'm actually seeing it in black and white on the paper. This allows me to take that in and digest it in a different way instead of it just being a thought or a feeling. So usually while I'm journaling, I can come to some conclusions that I wouldn't have if I never wrote it down. So that's really cool. If you're concerned about someone finding your journal and reading your innermost thoughts, that is a very valid worry. I mean, in journals or diaries, a lot of people write a lot of very intimate things, especially I know for myself that I do. So if that's something that concerns you, you can still write it down on a piece of paper and then burn the piece of paper. That could be a really therapeutic thing. Or you could rip it up or put it in the shredder. So you can still get your thoughts out on paper, release those thoughts or emotions or experiences that you're holding, and you don't have to have a permanent copy of it. So that's a really great option. If starting to journal sounds very overwhelming because you've never done it before and you're worried that you won't know what to write down, there are a lot of journals out there now that have prompts. So it'll ask you a question or something like that to kind of get the ball rolling. And other people I know, and I've done this myself as well, I have tarot cards and oracle cards and all of those types of things that once I pull a card, it will allow me to read the suggestion, and then my mind can take over and I'll start to interpret that however I feel at that moment. So that can be a really great way to find some ideas, to get some thoughts down on paper, to get the creative juices flowing, or to help just maybe give you a starting point or a jump off point. I know there are some people who journal at least 5 minutes a day or write down 5 things that they want to do that day and 5 things they were grateful for in the evening. That's not my process. Everyone journals differently. What I would suggest though is don't make it a job. This should be something that can be a nice, relaxing release or something to help you sort through some thoughts. So if it's something that you're doing every day and you're like, oh, I really don't like this, then you don't have to do it. Yeah, don't make it a job, don't make it a chore. This should be something that you're called to do or you are using as a tool to help yourself along on your journey. And maybe journaling isn't your thing. You can try it out, take it or leave it. These are just some things that I found personally that have really helped me, and journaling has definitely been one of them. My second suggestion is to allow your yoga practice to shift and change. The ebb and flow is inevitable, and to try and not force it to stay the same. That's definitely something that I've had to learn over the years of my yoga practice. I know when I first started out, like many people, I was really heavy into asana, a lot of vinyasa, really challenging yoga, physical yoga practices. And through the years, I have shifted into other aspects of yoga that I'm more focused on. And now it's kind of a mishmash of everything. So just try and allow yourself the freedom to explore these aspects without expecting yourself to do an hour and a half of yoga every day, asana practice yoga every day. That is something that can be hard, especially when it's the first time it really starts to shift, because you can start questioning yourself, you can start questioning your love for yoga and all of those things. And it doesn't mean that you don't love yoga. It doesn't mean that you're not practicing yoga properly. It just means that you're shifting and you're changing and you're growing in a new way. And that can be a really, really beautiful exploration. And I think it's also important, if you're practicing yoga, to explore all the 8 limbs, because asana is a really beautiful practice, but it's also the practice to ready the body for meditation. So keeping that in mind, that asana is not the pinnacle of a full, beautiful yoga practice. My third tip is that yoga is not your identity. Yoga is a beautiful practice. It's very rich and full, and it does innervate your life in a lot of really great ways to help bring awareness and improve yourself in a really nice way. But it is not your identity. And I'm not sure if it's necessarily the yogi who creates this identity. I think sometimes it's family and friends, when they see you starting to really incorporate the teachings into your life, they will label you as a yogi or a hippie or whatever. And that can be a really strange thing to be, because then you can start to lose yourself a little bit and the other aspects of yourself to embody this image that is a part of you, but it is not your full identity. You can be the same person you were before you practiced yoga. It doesn't mean you have to abandon other things that you love and enjoy because of your yoga practice. Your yoga practice is something to enrich your day-to-day life. It's a beautiful practice to bring awareness, but it is not your identity. My fourth suggestion for a fulfilling yoga journey or yoga practice is consistency and managing expectations. So consistency is really important because we want to build on our previous practices, but there is no such thing as a perfect yoga practice, and that's why it's called a practice. It's not something that you're needing to master or perfect. It's something that you show up on a regular basis and you enjoy the journey that you're on that day, and that's going to change from day to day. So if you're usually doing really hard-hitting asana, vinyasa classes, and your body's calling you to explore some more relaxing, restorative, maybe some yin yoga, then that's okay. And you don't have to only practice one type of yoga. I think having different types of yoga that you can practice depending on what your body needs is a really wonderful thing. The consistency is where you'll really see yourself develop, not just physically, but your mindset, you're more balanced, all of those really, really beautiful benefits of having a consistent yoga practice. That being said, If you can't practice every single day for an hour or something like that, that is okay. That is a really wonderful thing if you can squeeze that in, but life is very, very busy. So any type of yoga, whether it's 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 10 minutes, there's still going to be benefits. So if you can do those little mini practices even, you're going to get the benefits of having a consistent practice. Also, with managing expectations, you may practice for years and years and years, and you may not reach a certain goal you have in your mind. So, and that could be for a lot of different reasons. It could just be maybe that your body is not physically capable of getting into that shape, or whatever the situation is. So trying to approach it with a very inquisitive mind and not expecting yourself to get to a certain place. You may never reach samadhi. You may never do a handstand. You may never do a lot of these things, but it doesn't devalue the practice of yoga. It doesn't devalue, doing your breath work. You're still getting a ton of benefits. Maybe you will never hold your breath for a super long time, or whatever kind of thing you have kind of stuck in your head. Because I think, especially when you're starting out, you're drawn to yoga for some reason. And sometimes before you get into the practice and really understand what it is, you already start to build expectations or goals, or you have some preconceived notions in your mind, and that's very, very normal. So just trying to keep in mind that however you show up on your mat that day is a beautiful thing. You've already done the practice, you're there, and just listening to yourself, to hear your body's mind and your spiritual needs is a huge, huge component of having a really beautiful, rich practice. My last tip for having a fulfilling practice is to listen to yourself. Listen to what your body needs on that day. Listen to where maybe some subtle parts of yourself are asking you to explore. This is a really wonderful part of yoga. It allows you to become the observer of yourself. And once you become the observer, it kind of takes you out of a reactive mode. So you can look at things in a really more honest way. And when you start listening to yourself, you create and cultivate this beautiful bond and trust within yourself, your intuition, your inner knowledge, your inner knowing becomes very resilient and full and strong. And that's a really, really wonderful and important thing to cultivate. I think in the world that we live in now, we're constantly being pulled in different directions. We're constantly being told that you need to purchase this, or you have to do this, or all of that stuff. So if you have the ability to listen to yourself, you'll learn about the things that you really actually need. And you'll realize that all the things that you really need are already within you. So when you start to listen to yourself, there's this factor of contentment that becomes very obvious, and it's very, very empowering. So that's really important, because you're the only one who knows what you need. You have teachers and friends and family who will try and help you and try and observe what you need to help you out. But really, ultimately, you're the one that has the final say. You're the one who can feel what you're feeling inside, physically, emotionally, energetically, mentally, all of those things. And all of those things put together will help you know what you need, know how to nourish yourself properly. Nobody can tell you that. So connecting with your inner self and nourishing your intuition and your knowing and creating that trust when you feel something, that you trust what you're feeling and not shut it down or gaslight yourself or tell yourself that you're not correct, is so important in all areas of your life, not just in your yoga practice. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm hoping to do some other similar ones in the future. As I said earlier, I would love to get some feedback on this. If there's something you would like me to add, or I'd love to hear some of your personal things that you do that help cultivate your yoga practice or enrich it in any way. I would really, really love to hear about it, because I think it's a really fascinating way to learn from other yogis, or really anyone. It doesn't have to be necessarily yoga specific. We all have ways that we tap into filling our cups and nourishing ourselves, and I love to hear that. I'd like to try these things out too, because maybe it's something that would be really helpful for me and I just haven't tried it yet. So I would love to hear from you guys, and I hope you're doing well. And know that wherever this life takes you, that you are seen, you are loved, and you are divine. Take care.